Okay, today I'm going to be working on the friction washers on the front end of this H2. Basically, when you tighten down your damper in the front here, when you turn the wheel, it should get tighter, and mine is not making any difference at all whether I tighten it all the way or loosen it up. Get to the point where it feels like it's going to start stripping out. So I want to make sure that I don't strip out my stem there. Another part I don't want to have to buy. So basically, underneath of here, at the bottom of the steering column, there are two friction washers up in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the cotter pin out of the bottom, unscrew the shaft, catch the nut down here at the bottom, and replace the, I guess that's probably like a spring washer that's got some tension on it, and the two friction plates in between there. And I'm also going to sand down the metal discs to make sure they're nice and smooth so it gets good friction, and then that should tighten up the front end of it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my cotter pin here. Try to get it out of there without breaking it. If not, I'll have to cut it and pull it out, but pull that out first. I'll take a towel, rag, something to put over my fender, because if this unscrews and falls down, I don't want to knock a hole in my fender. Then with my left hand, I'm going to reach over. I'm just going to start unscrewing this. And you'll see from the bottom as you unscrew it that it'll get looser and looser. And once you get to a certain point, all the tension will be off of that. Okay. I still have one stuck up here, so we'll pull it off too. So just inspecting these, you can see there's a fluid on here. I'm not sure, it almost feels like an oil or a grease. Again, I bought this bike used. I'm not sure if they didn't know, but it looks to me like he lubricated these. So they're never going to build up any friction if you got lubrication on them. So basically I'm going to clean these up and get all the grease off of them. I'm going to sand these down, or put a little emery cloth on those, get it back on there, and then replace these discs, because these friction discs are completely just smooth now. So let me clean all this up, and then we'll get back to putting it back together. Okay, so after I got them cleaned up, as you can see, that's the old friction washer or friction disc. These are basically nothing left on them. There's no grit to them at all. Again, my guess is because he had lubricant in between them, actually just shined them up, probably burn them right off, or they were just originals and he never replaced them in the first place. That's my old friction washer, my tension washer. The washer doesn't look that bad, but since I went ahead and bought a new one because I didn't know whether I had a bad washer or bad discs, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new one on there. So those are my old parts I'm gonna get rid of. And again, I just cleaned all the grease and the slippery stuff off there. These I'm just going to take, that's the bottom sides, I'm not too worried about that one. Just a little bit of emery cloth, and again, I'm not trying to scuff this or make it flat. Basically, I'm just trying to make sure all the old stuff is off like you would a brake. You don't want any old oil or grease on there, because you actually want these to make friction. So I'm just cleaning up the surface a little bit. Again, I'm not trying to dig into it. I'm just smoothing out any uneven edges that might be on there. You can feel a little rough stuff on there when you're going across it. Again, this is not made to dig in. I'm not trying to sand it. I'm just cleaning everything up a little bit here. And that's actually got a groove in it, but I don't think it's going to bother what I'm doing. If I had nothing but money, I would probably buy a new one and replace it. If I was doing a complete, restore, probably replace that part, but again, cleaning her up. And I wouldn't swear to it, but just being that this is 1972, I'm guessing some of the stuff has asbestos in it. So make sure you're ventilated, or you're somewhere where you're not breathing this in, or wear a mask when you're sanding anything. Same with these new discs. These new discs are probably asbestos if they're actually factory. They're in factory packaging, but that doesn't always mean that I'm getting factory parts. You know how that goes. So I'm going to open up the new ones here. I don't know if you can see in the camera really well or not, but you can actually feel there's like a little bit of grit on here. And compared to the old one, you can see there's like shiny slick spots, almost like when you glaze over your brakes. And basically that thing is just toast. This fits in between here and here, the right way. Then your next one sits on here and sits in between that and the column bottom. And as you tighten that up, that actually is supposed to create friction to keep your wheel from turning back and forth. So you can go a little bit faster with a little bit more stable wheel. So I'm reassembling. I've got nut, washer, bottom washer, which is square. That's how you know it's the bottom one. You have a friction ring, friction disc, centerpiece, friction disc, and then we're going to slide it back up in there and just tighten the stem back down on it. So when you're putting this back on, there's a little arm here. In the very back here, just above your horn, is a brace. That piece, make sure it sits up against that. So when you pull your stem up, I'm going to slide this up through. It should line up evenly with the other one. And then again, we're just going to take our stem from the top. I'm just screwing the stem down. It's going to catch that nut. And basically, once you see it coming out through the bottom there, you'll be able to let go of it. So my stem's coming down through now. And I can actually let go of it now and put my cotter pin back in. Then I don't have to worry about it falling all the way off. Even if it comes down a little bit, it's not going to fall all the way off. Now once you get it started, make sure up top that you're actually, your thumb screw or your hand screw is on the outside edge of your, I guess it's just catch to keep it from vibrating loose. That way when you tighten it up, it actually should do that. And make sure you didn't get caught on the outside edge of it by a mistake. So once I get that there, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten it up. And get to where I think it should be close. I'm going to try it, so I'm going to tighten it up a little bit more than what it is. And I can actually feel the difference now when you're turning the wheel. The wheel gets much tighter to turn as you're turning it. And as you go faster, that'll allow you to go a little faster without, again, the front wheel wobbling as much on you. So the last thing I'm going to do is put my cotter pin back in. Cotter pin's back in. I'll drag off it again. Now when I tighten this up, as I get tighter, I can actually feel much more tension than before. It felt exactly the same no matter how tight or loose it was. So you're going a little bit slower, riding around town, you can actually see the handlebars loosening up there. Super easy to turn. You're going to go fast. Crank that down, put a little more friction on there, and that'll work in adjacent with your other steering damper if you have one installed to help keep you from high-speed wobbling.